Hello and welcome to Real Talk with Dr. Laura. Here where we talk about faith, life, and everything in between. Well, guess what? Today we are here. We're going to be diving into a really interesting topic. Hopefully, many of you all have already participated in what we are talking about on today, but we have some really exciting stuff to talk about. There's an opportunity for you to be engaged here on Facebook or on YouTube. You can put some answers in, questions, or whatever the case may be. But I'm so very excited to be here. So today I have as a special guest, actually a son of my ministry. I'm so excited to have him. I tell you, Minister Howard, and many of y'all may call him different things, but we respectfully call him Minister Howard. And he is, listen, same thing. I could put a bowl up on the table and pull out a topic and we could just go at it. Because he is so well grounded. He knows a lot about many things, and I'm so glad that he decided to sit at the table, at the real talk table, to have some real conversation. So before we move on and before we dive in, I'm gonna pause a moment and I'm gonna let him introduce himself in any kind of way that he would like to.
Uh, Hello, everybody. My name is William Howard. I am a minister here at Raymond Christian Center Church. I am a spoken word artist, a recording music artist, someone who I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, part of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, graduated from the illustrious Elizabeth City State University. Um, and I always have a hard time with telling people who I am. I don't know why. I just it's just me. But I'm blessed to be able to be. I'm excited about this. I'm very excited. I'm someone who loves, as I'm grounded as a believer, and a follower of Christ. That comes first, and I'm as you'll definitely hear throughout the conversation. Directly after that, for me in my personal life, comes me as a black man within the culture. Um, because that's just how I was created. That's how I was raised. So those two things have always been very, very important to me, and they intersect in a very important way. So that's what I'm here to discuss.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So when I think about, if I back up for a moment, we know this week many people participated in what was called an economic blackout, right? So of course, try not to date myself, right? But the very first blackout, it wasn't a financial blackout per se. Although, you know what? I think it kind of resulted in the economic blackout. I'm going to tell you why. Blackout of 1977, when I was in New York as a young girl, all the lights went out, right? So it resulted in an economic blackout because a lot of people kind of went and did all the looting it could do.
Yeah.
So, and you know what
That's
happened?
powerful,
It
yeah.
shut down everything and the stores never opened, reopened in our community. Interestingly enough. So it
It's a
did.
domino effect.
It was a domino
Domino
effect.
effect.
So I'm glad that we're talking about this today because I want us to kind of have a conversation around, first of all, we know that, like I said, some people participated, others chose not to. But I want us to talk a little bit about um, the effectiveness. Do we think it was effective? Um, you know, do we think people across all ages participated? And then, of course, before we close, we're going to talk about what we think is next for our community. But, one thing too, because I just said our community, but just to be clear, it really wasn't just our community either participating in the blackout. I saw Donald Lemon, he was interviewing in the city in New York on the street. He was interviewing actually everybody he interviewed on the street. They were all white, and every one of them except one was actually participating in the economic blackout. He was talking to them on that day, and one person actually had a bag, and he was like, "Oh, I forgot. I just bought something." He said, "Get out of here. Walk with your head down. All the shame. Get out of here." But let's get started. I'm gonna open it up for you to go ahead.
So the effectiveness piece. I think it was effective? I think when it comes to okay, I think when it comes to how effective something like this is, that it has to be. We have to start with the facts, and unfortunately, this is not a cause everybody has the same equity in,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's a great point. That's
So
right.
this isn't a cause that everybody is equally invested in.
Right.
And I call it. There's a movie called New Jack City.
Oh, I love New
And,
Jack City.
and Nino Brown on the stage
Come on
said,
here.
"Let's kick the ballistics." Okay, so let's kick the ballistics. We have to be mindful of a few things. One, we have to be reminded that people oftentimes don't escape what's comfortable for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that's a people situation.
Right. Right.
That's not.
That's right.
That's all across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have people who are not willing or don't often see the necessity to push past their comfort,
Right.
it becomes hard when we talk about economic,
Mm-hmm.
because the world that we live in is surrounded, and we're surrounded by things that are made for our convenience
Mm-hmm.
and our comfort,
Right.
and that's where the money starts flowing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a revenue source
Mm-hmm.
based on the convenience of people,
Right.
and so in order to be able to have something such as an economic blackout be
Mm-hmm.
successful, you have to have people who are first willing to put whatever that is
Mm-hmm.
to the side,
Right.
inconveniencing yourself for
Mm-hmm.
whatever the greater good is.
Right.
But if I'm not equally as invested
Mm-hmm.
in what this is, the causation,
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
automatically going to put my comfort and my convenience above the cause,
Right.
and the cause and the mission.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm saying, I'll use myself for an example.
Mm-hmm.
If William is saying, dog, I just love Amazon that much.
Mm-hmm. That I just have to.
I
can't help myself.
Every time I need something,
Right.
and they'll bring it, whatever.
Right.
They serve a greater cause. Somebody would be like, man, you about to take it too deep. But this is what we ultimately say
Mm-hmm.
in the face of these things. We say, hey, what they're able to do for me means more to me than
Right.
what we are fighting for or what we claim to be fighting for.
That's right.
As a people.
Yeah, right. Collectively.
Collectively,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it comes to that individual mindset versus collective mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, in this country, we are very much primed to have a individual mindset.
Yep.
So
that's very true.
If we're primed to have an individual mindset,
right,
then we don't allow ourselves again to be inconvenienced enough for whatever the mission is moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So the effectiveness, we've been doing this since 2020, having blackouts of this economic stature. We've been trying to have this be a consistent thing for 5 years now.
Right.
And the effectiveness only goes as far as what is happening in totality.
Right. Right.
But and that's only if we're looking at it as it being a single day. Because I like to compartmentalize the situations. If we're looking at the blackout that only take place one day throughout the year,
right,
then you need everybody.
Right.
Otherwise, it won't be fully effective.
Well, that's true, because one thing for me is when we saw a lot of people that did participate on that Friday, many of them scurried out Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Purchasing a bunch of stuff. It was almost like they was going to be out for a week or so. I mean, they were scurrying, buying stuff. And then, of course, what they didn't get on Friday, Saturday, they hit the ground rolling, trying to purchase stuff. So, perhaps I know I saw some people in social media that was talking about, listen, I'm going to extend mine for the weekend. I'm going to just kind of not just do this today, but I'm going to go on to Saturday and maybe even Sunday. So I think in looking at a blackout per se, first of all, doing it collectively, but also more than one day, because people, if you are out, I understand it may very well affect somehow the economics for the day.
Right.
But just imagine if we decided we're going to take a few days, or we're going to knock out a whole week, or, we're going to see, we talked before about the boycott, right? How many days?
A year and a half.
Come on, before the system broke and said, you know what? I think we do need them ride these buses.
They were consistent.
They were consistent, and they collectively came together with one mindset. And they had a goal on, this is what we're going to do. We're going to figure it out. We're going to find a way to,
Yes.
to get to where we need to get to. And so I would really, really love to see us really do that. And one point you made was about it starting in 2020, but now, of course, because of the situation the country is in, right? Real talk. Now we do have others that are trying to participate, although the reasoning may be a little bit different because now their focus is, perhaps on what's happening. But I'd say if if we can
Oh yeah.
get them to join in, that would
Absolutely.
could only but add to
Absolutely.
what is happening. But it's just been interesting. So I want to ask, with your generation,
Yes.
your age group, um, are they hands feet on the ground, boots on the ground, as we say,
My
around this movement?
yes. I would
Okay.
say my generation is we are that we're like the middle child in a
Okay.
lot of sense,
I
in
like
a
that
lot of
term.
ways. Yeah, we're like the
Okay.
middle child of the generations
hmm
because we come from a time of where I'm 32, I'll be 33 this year.
hmm
If you are my age or close to my age and old, a little older, a little younger, you remember coming from a time where there was no internet.
hmm
You remember coming from a time where, so there, and I say that to say that the fundamentals and what we were raised upon
Right.
were different, and we
hmm
were able to also see the change and be the first to integrate with a lot of the new changes.
Right.
So we've been able to take real life principles
hmm
and merge them with
hmm
um, the new technology
hmm
and how to spread awareness and things of that nature.
hmm
So because of that,
hmm
because we are like, no, 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 I know what the truth is. We grew up during this time, this time, this time, and this time. We see how things have been affected, da 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 da. And then,
hmm
of course, doing our due diligence, doing
hmm
our research, learning for ourselves,
hmm
connecting with elders, connecting with past generations, being willing to listen.
hmm
We've been able to do that.
Right.
And that is what has us in such a there's a fire that's inside of my generation. Now the generation that's behind us,
Right.
that's the as much as I'm like gun ho for my generation,
hmm
the one behind us is the one people really need to worry about.
hmm
They don't care.
hmm
Like they don't care, but and when I say they don't care,
hmm
I mean they're so focused on what's real
Right.
that they want
That's good.
answers. They
This
want
is good.
what is truth.
Yeah.
That's what they are clinging and searching for.
hmm
And if they see anything that is opposing such, they don't care what it is, tear it down.
hmm
That is their mindset.
hmm
And I thank God for it because we need that.
We need that. And let me say this. I'm going to just have you pause for a moment. We'll come back to what you were saying because I need to share this because the same way that you're looking at the generation behind you is how my generation looked at your generation. When we saw you all come along, you coming out of school, graduating from college, going into the workplace, and you wearing natural hair and just just doing your thing. We was like, see, they just like we don't care.
Yeah.
This is who we are, and we're representing. So I love that. I love that you just said how you all look at the generation behind you, and it's exactly how my generation looks at you all. That you all have really opened up the door in many ways with even the natural hair being
Yeah.
allowed in
Yes, ma'am.
places that people from my age group, my generation, was like, well, I love my natural hair. I want to wear it, but it may not be seen as professional. If I go and I am at an interview and my hair is in braids,
Right.
they may, I'm qualified, but my braids may kind of make them say, too radical. That's not how. But you all came in and was like, I'm doctor, I'm this, I'm teacher. This is who I am.
And this is why.
And this is what we showing up with. We qualified and we here to do what we're called to do. And
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that.
You know, I feel like there's a give and take with that because my generation, we oftentimes look back. So the generations before us, we look back and we're like, man, we're so enamored with, like, for just as an example of Art Imitating Life.
Mm-hmm.
A Different World.
Mm-hmm.
My generation loves that show.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us can't. Like, I was born the year the show ended, so like
Wow.
but my
That is
generation
interesting.
loves that show.
Wow.
And a
That's
part of the
good.
reason we love that show
Mm-hmm.
is because you see young Black people,
Mm-hmm.
especially during the later seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You see
Mm-hmm.
young Black people standing up for what was right.
That's right.
Put like being and not only did they do it, it looked cool.
Right.
It was something.
Right.
And it was something that was something so appealing about seeing people who are young,
Mm-hmm.
like utilizing our youth
Mm-hmm.
to be able to be productive,
Mm-hmm.
and then being around like-minded individuals
Mm-hmm.
who have that same causation. Because I think
Right.
a similar thread, especially within the Black community,
Mm-hmm.
in each generation, is there is a mind to break assimilation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about, when I look back at those like generations before us, your generation,
Mm-hmm.
and I look at them, I'm like, man, they said, this is us. We are
Mm-hmm.
setting and creating
Mm-hmm.
the environment in which we want to participate.
Right.
We are we're breaking the doors down.
Mm-hmm.
We're cracking codes to
Right.
the best of our ability.
Right.
And so then we see that and we're like, okay, that's the way it's supposed to be.
That's right.
So when you see things trying to be cookie cutter,
right,
it's just like, that ain't me.
Right, right.
And we're able to even have the voice of being able to say that ain't me, and be okay with
and
that,
be okay with
because
that.
of the voice that was utilized by you all.
That's right.
And then when the next generation behind us here, and then they see, wait, yeah, that's what we've been on, that type of time.
Right.
You know what? Let's take it to the next level.
Let's take it to the next level. Because we're riding off of my mother's generation, who is here, and all the things that they went through. And I tell you, they worked hard and they struggled. This would be those in my generation, our parents, your grandparents, but they worked so very hard. And when we think about the work that they put in all areas, in all aspects, the generations of now, today, you all are making way more than they ever, of course, made back then. So we just thank God for the paving of the way, as we're talking about the generation prior to me and our generation and yours and the one behind you. And so I'm just so thankful that we are all able to look back and forward. Both ways.
You have to.
We have to.
You can't possibly make positive impact without being able to gauge the importance of what was prior to you.
That's right.
And the word is trying to evade me right now. But also being able to see the usefulness of what is ahead of you. If you're able to do that, you put yourself in a great position to be useful and powerful and impactful.
Right.
Because now you're holding on, you're not allowing just one side to dictate. You have the generational, I think, a generational gap that gets created. And this all ties into the economics. The generational gap that gets created is you have past generations that instead of accepting what is moving forward, and not to say that you have, like, because there's some crazy stuff moving forward, so you don't got to accept all of it. But instead of ushering in, that's the word. That's what I need to say. Instead of ushering in the new generation, made it seem as if only what took place within this span of time is the way that it should be done. Right. Only what took place here is how it needs to be done. If it's outside of this realm of understanding and realm of comfortability, yet again, then we can't mess with it. But then, if you're able to say, okay, these are the standards and points that they stood on. Here are principles that are very much so still true today, based on what was taking place in past generations. And here's where we are with it now, and how we're trying to move forward.
Right. You
put yourself, and you are a threat for real, because you're able to. You're not just going off of what is currently in front of you.
Right.
You have the understanding, you've done the knowledge to be able to be impactful. And when it comes to economics, there's still the way people see things. You have a generation. My generation, as my mother would love to say, hey, mom, as my mother would love to say, y'all generation don't care about no job. And she says it, in a way of admiration. She's like, y'all not gonna be nowhere just because that's where y'all getting paid at.
Right.
And
that's true.
And so it's like, where did that thinking
the different
come
mindset?
From? It's a whole different mindset.
It's a different mindset.
Because my father's generation is the generation of, man, that job paying you good. Stay there.
That's right. And stay there and retire from there.
Stay there forever.
Until it's time for you to leave.
That scares me and my generation. Like, what do you mean forever?
Do you mean?
In this one place?
Right.
Do you know how much world there is? Like, but all that to say, how we view finances becomes different. Right. And if how we view finances become different, when we're talking about placing boycotts and economic blackout in play, then the real issue becomes how we perceive success, based on financials.
Right. And that's good. I would like to have seen the goal. How do we base success? How do we know if day one or one day economic blackout, if it's successful or not? How do we gauge that? And I think it would be nice, and I said this, I think it was the first show I did. I said, I would like Dr. King was really at the forefront of a lot of the movement, right? And they gathered and they talked and they worked out strategy.
Yes.
And I think it became a shared strategy, right? That's how the boycott happened. It was a shared strategy. So we know, of course, we had this first economic blackout. Then my question is, okay, so where do we go from here? I know that there were lists of additional blackouts, March. We got a week for this, and a week from Amazon, and a week from Nestle, and a week from Walmart. So I guess my question is, my thought, I'm just kind of wondering, what are the goals? How do we know we are winning? Right? How do we know we're winning? When do we gauge, okay, we need to change the strategy? Because when you start, if you look at it this way, once we start, okay, this week, don't buy from Amazon. Next week, don't buy from Walmart. The next week, don't buy from Nestle. People get lost in all that.
Yes.
Because it's a lot to remember. Yes. We have daily things we're thinking of, and then to try to now say, who are we boycotting this week? Or, I just think that we could definitely be effective, but I just think there needs to be some strategy around, and I'm not saying that those who have came up with this didn't think about the strategy. Right. But I'm just saying, you got to start from somewhere. Absolutely. I just think I would like to see what it is moving forward that's solid, that we can do, that would really be effective.
I think the answer to your question is in the question.
Okay.
So I spoke about this a little bit. I went live on Instagram to talk about it. It was just on my heart. It was just really on my heart because I kept seeing, people started sending me text messages. I had a blackout, man. I had to do the blackout. And it's like so many people were gun ho about it.
Right.
And like I said, it has to be a starting point.
Right.
A catalyst for change is indeed a catalyst for change.
Right.
And so even if even if the progression of that change looks different from the starting point, it took place because of the starting point.
Right.
So I never want to undermine that. But I also know maneuvering off of emotion alone is not strategy.
Right. Because this is the thing for me. Hold your thought. Don't I'm gonna come back to you. Because this is my thing. We can be gung-ho about starting for blackout, but people will lose momentum. Yes. A movement can lose momentum if there's not a next that can really be effective. Because if people do stuff and they don't feel like it's really having an impact, they be like, I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? But go ahead, continue with you.
So it's the difference. Like I said, moving off of emotion and strategy are two different things. You can be emotionally charged,
right?
But if you're emotionally charged, that's one thing. There's not necessarily something wrong with that.
Right.
Because emotion gets you to moving.
That's right.
But if you're going to then be moving, you should want to move with purpose and a direction, and that can only take place with strategy.
That's right.
So
Very
saying this is the date, February 28th is the date, this is when we're doing it, cool. But to your question of, well, what is the goal?
Right.
The goal is within the strategy. So when I spoke about it on my Instagram page, I spoke about how we could possibly compartmentalize. And mind you, I'm not here to say my way is the only way, but or that, you know, they're not doing, like, it's not being done right. But the more that we have brought to the table on this, the more that we can say, all right, look, that sounds like it can work. This over here sounds like it can work.
Right.
Now, who is willing to participate in this over here?
That's good.
And who's willing to participate in this over here?
Very
now
good.
we're covering ground.
Right.
We're covering ground and we're having strategy. So let me get back to what I was saying. If we can compartmentalize what is taking place, being able to say, okay, we want to do the blackout on the 28th of February. Cool, let's do that.
Right.
But let's recognize this long list of everywhere people can't go is overwhelming. I compared it to fasting. When you're fasting and all you're looking at is what you can't have. Like, yeah, for real.
This is true.
Like, this is real talk. When
this is overwhelming.
It becomes like, dang, I might as well not even do this.
I might as well not do anything.
I might as well, because
this is a lot.
How can I stay away from all those things?
That's right.
Because I'm so used to having my mindset be focused around all the things that is able to serve me.
That's right.
So in that, rather than just saying, stay away from all these places, how about we start saying, hey, here are all the places you can go for this, and for this. And there have been people that have been out here promoting Black businesses leading up until this point.
That's
so I don't want it to sound like nobody's out here doing any of these things.
That's
what I'm saying is we should make it more. It just as many of you have probably received a text message with the flyer for the blackout on it, or a DM, or seen it on social media somewhere. As much as that was seen, I feel like the breakdown and detail of what a strategy should is going to look like should be seen as well.
That's right. So I agree with that.
If I'm promoting, okay, here are the places you can go.
Right.
Now, on top of that, let's have some other people dedicated to continue finding the Black businesses in your area.
That we can support.
Is local, that is statewide, that is Black businesses, online, all that, and start promoting those.
Right.
So now, not only are you hearing about places that you can go, there's people continually looking for more places that you can go to supplement what you are used to doing.
Right.
And then we can continue doing that. Then, hey,
it's a win-win.
It's a win-win because now we're putting ourselves in position to not only move along with what the goal is, but we're keeping ourselves and others accountable while standing on the principle that is, hey, we need to support what is supporting us.
That's right.
If it's not supporting us,
we
should stay away from it.
Ooh, that's so
and just because you don't feel support, just because you feel like you may be supported, doesn't mean the rest of your population and the body is not being let down by this or spit in the face of from what they have going on. So now that we have all these moving pieces, you can decide, okay, maybe I'm not able to do that, but I can join a part of this. One of the most powerful things I heard during 2020 in the midst of all the marches, all the protests, everything that was going on, and something that helped me to realize, if this is a body, within the body of Christ, we speak on specifically, and it tells us in the word that there are different parts of the body, just like there's different parts of your human body.
And all are needed.
Capacity is needed in every function.
That's right.
So when I heard somebody say during the pandemic, like, hey, look, where everybody, just because you're not on the front line, don't let that be used as a reason for you to be self-defeated, as if you can't be a part of the overall. Right. What we're fighting for is so vast.
It is vast.
That it is you can't say, hey man, I have people texting me saying, hey, I feel bad, man. I bought something, man, I forgot. And I'm like, what do you think you let down the black pot? Like You think you let down all black people because you bought something today?
Right, right.
You didn't.
Right.
But the fact that you are even feeling remorseful for it
that you
lets you know
something.
that you actually have a heart for what is needing to be done.
That's right.
If you bought something and didn't care less about buying nothing,
that's different.
Like, oh well, who cares?
Right.
That's a totally different feeling.
That's different.
But because of what we're fighting for being so vast, so broad, my mother loves to. We talk about it all the time. And me going to HBCU, we spoke about it on my HBCU all the time. Look at all the different collectives that were to working together during the civil rights movement. Right. When people think civil rights, we think, oh, Martin Luther King, civil rights.
That's right.
And it's just like, nah, but no. Yeah. You had SNCC, you had different, so many different
coming together.
Right. Even with the Black Panther Party, who I love dearly. It was the Black Panther Party in Oakland, right, and then the Black Panther Party in Chicago, right, and then Fred Hampton in Chicago had the Rainbow Coalition, right, which was an off branch of. So everybody is fighting. That's right. In different capacities, right, in order to make something happen. That's right. So to answer your question of how do we know what the goal is, well, the goal is when we start seeing change. So until we start seeing the question, I guess the other question that can be asked is, what is the change we're looking for? Right. The change we're looking for, and everybody needs to know. Right. Everybody needs to know what the change is that we're looking for. Absolutely. Because it kind of then sets a goal before you. Yeah. Right. So we're looking for what's equitable. Right. And that is a trigger word. Sorry, but I know equity and equitable. Right. Is like a no word right now. But exactly. We are fighting for what is equitable. And I think what people often misunderstand about equity, and I don't want to preach to the choir. So if you know this, God bless you, shout out to you. But for us to have understanding, even for those of us who know it, to be able to have an understanding of those, there are people out here who don't know it, or people out here who just adamantly fight against it. Because education is a big part of a way that we need to be fighting as well. Right, absolutely. So what the difference is between equity and people having what's the word? I'm blanking out. People confuse equity with things being even. Right. It's even for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you don't have equity. You have the word is evading me. Y'all know. Put it in the comment section. The word I'm trying to say. Y'all know exactly the word I'm trying to say. But it's like the difference is one gives everybody the same thing. Right. Right. So hey, you're 6'3", you're 5'11". You're 4'8". I'm going to give all of you the same 1 foot box to stand on to see over this fence. So, because now you all have it. It's equal. I gave everybody the same thing. And that makes it equal. It's like, all right, but was everybody's need the same? Exactly. If everybody's need is not the same, me giving everybody the same portion of whatever it is not serving to what the need is. That's right. We have to be concerned of the need of people, right, or else we'll miss the plot entirely. So if you are 6'3", you can probably see over the fence already without it, but you might need a little boost so you can see all the way over the fence. So I can give you a 1 foot box. You 4'8". You don't even know there's another side to the fence. All you've ever seen was the wood post. That's right. That's right. I need to give you like 5 or 6 of those boxes for you to stand on and see, because that's equity. That's equity. And for people trying to make equity, this is real talk, right? This is real talk. Okay. I don't want to step out of bounds. This is real talk. People looking at the word equity, I want people to understand what you are fighting against. If you happen to be a person that's fighting against it, or if you happen to be a Black person within the community that don't see why it's as important for everybody. Equity is simply making sure everyone, you included, everyone included, is met to the basic needs. There's a thing within psychology of Maslow's basic hierarchy of needs, right? Yeah. And it's just saying, hey, everybody's on different forms of that pyramid, right? You might be needing something specific that somebody else their need is lower on the hierarchy. But yours might be being met, and you only needed a little portion of it. Right. And that's okay. But what you're saying in fighting against equity is, I don't care what somebody else needs, because tending to the need of them
Mm-hmm.
is making them seem special,
Right.
and everybody's not special.
Right.
So that's not what we're talking about here.
Right.
One, everybody is special.
Mm-hmm.
But two, meeting a need of a person, someone that
Mm-hmm.
has need of something to be able to be successful, to be able to, just live comfortably
Right.
within life and be productive in that
Mm-hmm.
manner, is not giving them special treatment.
Right.
Because if there's somebody, if you have a need and your need may be smaller than
Mm-hmm.
what somebody else's, it's still a need.
Right.
And there's nobody walking this earth who does not have a need.
That's right. That's
Some of us, unfortunately, have had our needs met so much to where all we have left is greed.
Woo! That's a whole key. That's the whole message right there.
There are
That's
different
the
parts.
key.
But even within that greed,
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you have a need for more.
Right.
So everybody
happens.
has a need, and needs need to be met, because what happens is when needs are not met,
Mm-hmm.
what people think happens, I don't know what they think happens. Let me not speak for them. But what often comes about is people like, okay, when needs are not being met,
Mm-hmm.
we start seeing the foundation cracking in the humanity of society.
Mm-hmm.
Because as human beings, we have to have our needs met.
That's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We just it's a need.
It's
It's not
a
something
need.
that we just out here begging for.
That's right.
Or
It's
trying
a
to
need.
play victim, woe is
Right.
me. It's a need.
Right.
So when the need isn't met,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna find a way to meet my needs.
That's right.
Whether I have to go through you,
Mm-hmm.
I can work with you,
Right.
or find a way to go through you.
That's right.
But I have to get this need met.
Exactly.
So then it's like, well, why are we seeing such a downfall? Why are we seeing such a rise in crimes?
Mm-hmm.
Or why are we seeing such disinterest in government things that are taking place? Why
Right.
are we seeing such disbelief in the system in which takes place within this country?
Mm-hmm.
Because people's needs aren't being met.
People's needs not being met.
And if you're
That's right.
presenting yourself to be a system
Mm-hmm.
that cares about the needs of the people,
Right.
and that's all you're talking about is us as a people, collective, the United States, where we are a proud people. It's like, well, who are the people you're talking about?
Exactly. Who do
Because me and my needs not being met makes
Right.
it very hard for me to be a proud person of anything.
Exactly.
I don't feel very united
Right.
in your United States.
That's
because
right.
there's nothing here uniting me
Right.
with what the overall objective is.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel pushed away from a collective,
Mm-hmm.
the way you view that collective
Right.
becomes, so for people it's like, man, how can y'all go so hard against? It's like, mind you, Black people love this country.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that.
That's right.
And I know this can sound like it's off, but it's connected.
Mm-hmm.
Black
Right.
people love this country. You know why? Because we have equity built into
We
this
do.
country.
We have equity built.
We have put
That's absolutely
blood,
right.
sweat, and tears
Tears
into this country.
Into building this country.
Building it to what it is
Absolutely.
to this very day.
Absolutely.
So
Imagine America without us. If we left and took everything with us that we created,
mhm,
what would this country be?
a mess.
Right? That's
A
right.
mess is what it would be.
That's right.
So we have equity built into this country, right? And because we have equity built into this country, we love it. What we
Mhm.
don't love
Mhm.
is the displacement of us that have already put so much into it.
That's right.
That's like if I say, hey, can you come with me real quick? Help me build this clubhouse. And then
Mm-hmm.
we built the clubhouse. Or you build it rather.
Mm-hmm.
And I supervise you building it.
Right.
You without any kind of pay or anything.
Exactly. I build
I
it.
make
You
you build it.
supervise.
And
You
if you
make
don't-
me build
And if you
it.
don't build it, I'ma hurt you.
Exactly.
Okay, anyway. But I have you build this clubhouse.
Right.
And then we deck the clubhouse out. You
Mhm.
give me all these ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And you help me
That's
come
right.
up with ideas.
That's
And then
right.
we start, now the clubhouse is fly. We got carpet in the clubhouse. You ever
Mhm.
heard of something like
Right.
that? We got carpet in here. We got food. We got snacks. We got
Mhm.
all kind of things. We got lights.
Everything
Cool.
you can think of.
But you can't come in the clubhouse.
Right. You're not invited in.
Oh man, when can I come by? Hey man, you so overqualified. You can't come in my clubhouse because you so cool, man. Like I tell you what though, I like the way you dressing. We're gonna have a new uniform for the clubhouse
For the
now.
club.
But you don't get to participate.
That's
How
right.
do you now look at it?
Exactly.
When you've been so hands on with something.
Mm-hmm.
I like making things universal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like calling it watering it down, dumbing it down. I like
Mhm.
calling it universal. Everybody can understand it.
Right.
Everybody, for the most part, has been a part of a group project in school.
Mhm.
You know what's annoying about group project? You know why kids to this day and
Mhm.
adults in corporate America don't like doing group activities?
Mhm.
Because the foundation of a group activity has been presented that you can be hands-on in making something happen.
Right.
And then there's other people who are not.
Mhm.
And now they're getting credit for something that they didn't have as much equity in.
That's right.
Making, and people don't like that feeling.
Mhm.
Because why should I be as invested as I am?
Right.
And I get nothing out of
I
the
get
deal.
nothing out of the deal.
Who
That's
wants
right.
that?
Nobody.
On a financial level, that's
Right.
not okay. In business, that's not okay.
That's right.
Within relationships, that's
Mhm.
not okay. So why would we think that is okay with treating people in
Mhm.
something that we're supposed to be so together in?
Right.
So what is the cause and the need of this whole blackout is getting corporations to understand, hey, your corporation wouldn't even be as big as it was
Right.
if it wasn't for us sponsoring,
Right.
being, implementing, having
Right.
equity. That money that
It's
you
supported.
are pocketing
Yeah.
is because I took it out my pocket.
Exactly.
So you not having, and then you being a part of so many things that are adamantly against me,
Right.
then we have a fundamental issue here.
Mhm.
So we're standing up for what needs to be done to show, hey, if you can't want my money and not want me.
Mhm. Right.
You can't want my money and then be a part of issues that are harming me and my people.
That's so
And
key.
for the people who feel like they are outliers
Right.
in this, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say no names. I got a couple.
Right,
There's a
right.
couple names, but I'm gonna spare y'all this time. Random acts of kindness.
That's good. That's good. That's
Random
good.
acts of kindness. But for the people who feel like you are an outlier,
Mhm.
that your people are just crying and playing victim, and it can't be that bad because you're not in that same position.
Mhm.
It can't be that bad because if it was that bad, we wouldn't have had a black president. It can't be that bad because a black woman ran for president. It can't be that bad because we're making more money than, and that becomes a generational issue as well.
Mhm.
Because you have, I've had a conversation with my father and my aunts and stuff before, where it's just like, yeah, but y'all are doing so much better than we ever did.
Mhm.
It's just like, but there still lies a core
Right.
issue
Right.
that's been there since before you,
Before then,
and it's
that's right.
still unfortunately here
And it still
with us.
it still exists.
So if that hasn't been broken,
Right.
I don't care what the amenities are.
Right.
We haven't gone anywhere.
Right.
We
That's right.
haven't made progress.
Mhm.
We might have inched.
Mhm.
We might have gotten a few liberties.
Right.
Uncle Sean, my Uncle Sean,
Mhm.
is Jay-Z. That's what I call Uncle Sean. He said you'll
That's
run a
good.
checkup, but they'll never give you leverage.
Mhm.
So it's like, yeah, okay, we'll throw the money at you. All
Right.
to take it. You want how much? Okay, we'll write that little check.
Right.
But
Enough
equity,
leverage. Right.
equity has always been a fundamental issue within America.
Yeah.
Always. And we as a people are just tired of fighting that equitable fight when it's
Mhm.
like these are basic human needs and human rights that we're talking about.
That's
here.
right.
And
True.
coming together on that.
Mhm.
Coming together. You might not even agree with the full premise of it, but being able to stand within solidarity,
Mhm.
support in whatever ways you're capable of supporting,
Right.
is vital. Because here's the thing. Most people don't recognize something until it knocks on their front door.
That's right.
So if I'm sitting back saying, man, I'm good. Y'all the ones that's not good. Y'all go out here with your little boycotts and stuff. Eventually, what is going to happen
It's
is,
gonna knock on your
if
door.
you ain't the one sitting at the tippity tip top part
That's
at 1%.
right.
So what happens when they say, no, we want to take this back from you too?
Exactly.
Well,
Because you included.
Because
You don't get to escape that.
You are looked at through the same lens.
Exactly.
Your money. There was a athlete. I won't say names. I said I won't say names. So I won't say names.
Right.
There was an athlete who played professional football,
Mhm.
who once made the statement. He was black. Who once made the statement, "I'm not black. I am," fill in the blank with his name.
Right. Right.
That is a fundamental issue that a lot of people still have.
They still have it. That's
Because
right.
you think, Oh no, I've built myself up to where I'm not
Right.
even
And to
that
think
anymore.
that because you may feel as if you're not this, it doesn't mean that the rest of the world don't see you as that.
It's
Which
dangerous.
is key. Which is key because that's how they can very quickly get their feelings hurt because they show up in settings. Even look at Oprah. You remember she went on like Saks Fifth Avenue
Yes.
and people didn't recognize her and wouldn't allow her in the
Yeah,
store.
wouldn't let her buy nothing. And she
Exactly,
was like,
not
okay, cool.
knowing,
I,
who she was and her
I can show you.
status. So, but I tell you, there is so much we can say around this particular topic, and I must say this that this most certainly will not be your last time coming.
No.
We have to have you again because this is not going to stop. It's going to continue.
Yes,
And so we're gonna need some updates and some more conversation around this. And so there's a lot of things that's coming up. So we need to make sure keep your ears open, your eyes open.
Please do.
I know a lot of times we find out a lot of this information via text or social media, but just be ready to participate because we need you.
Get involved.
We need you
Get
to be a
involved.
part of what is happening to bring about real change. So we had a lot of conversation around many things today, with goals and strategies and what's next and all of that. But we will. This is definitely like a part one because there's so much that needs to be said. But I want to thank everyone for watching today, for
Yes.
tuning in. And as I said, this is our first conversation around this particular topic, but it will not be the last. So we will be back again. We'll see what's going to happen next month. Then we'll come back and
Yes.
kind of engage
By the end of this
around.
month, we will
Right.
see some things.
So we'll come back again and we'll talk about what we see so far as we continue to look forward. And also, hopefully, we can get a better gauge on kind of how well we're doing, right? How well we're doing.
That's the prayer.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
exactly right. So I just again thank everyone. I thank those that you invited that are
Yes.
watching today as well, and those that hey Jeanette, that's my classmate from
Hello.
high school. Good to see you. And so again, we will be here next Sunday again live at 5 for Real Talk with Dr. Laura. I do hope to see you next time. God bless. We gotta clap.